What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Today's episode is going to be brought to you by Mystery Ranch, built for the mission. And if you haven't been rocking a Mystery Ranch Fireline pack for your career, well, that sucks to be you, dog. Mystery Ranch makes arguably the best, the most comfortable, and the most bitchin' warranty in the fire game for their fire packs. Yeah, so you better go over there and switch up your game. Go over to www.mysteryranch.com to check them out and, give a couple elbows to some folks, tell them to get the right gear for the job. But other than that, Mystery Ranch is built off of the boots on the ground, and they actually give a shit. They actually are. The reason why I say that is because they take input and advice. And in fact, Dana Gleason, who founded Mystery Ranch, he went down to South Ops and he actually tied in with a couple of crews down there and developed what pack you are probably wearing on your back that you all know and love, aka the Hotshot pack. So other than that, they do a bunch of other stuff for the community, like the Backbone Series scholarships. Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're giving out $1,000 scholarships to anybody who wants to tell a story of Wildland fire and what they do on the line. Yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome. They are doing a closing here pretty soon. It's actually rapidly approaching. So May 31st, that's going to be the deadline to get your story submitted into Mystery Ranch's Backbone series. So if you want to find out more or submit your story, go over to www.mysteryranch.com and check it out. There's also links in the show notes and on the YouTubes and all that other stuff. So go check it out. www.mysteryranch.com. And of course, we have our coffee sponsor, because we all know that the Anchor Point podcast can't come to you live to your ears or pre-recorded to your ears unless it's done in a very caffeinated state. So the people that I rely on for my caffeination is none other than Hotshot Brewery. It's kick-ass coffee for a kick-ass cause, and a portion of the proceeds will always go back to the Wildland Firefighter Foundation and some other causes that they're just, they're working on it. But there might be some other stuff in the works there. So if you want the best in kick-ass coffee and for kick-ass causes, go over to www.hotshot Brewery. But it just doesn't stop there. You can go over there and get your full line of Wildland Firefighter themed apparel and all of the tools of the trade to get your morning started off right. So once again, that is www.hotshotbrewery.com. Go check them out. And of course, I got to give a quick little shout out to my buddy Booze over at the ASS Movement. And that stands for the anti-surface shitting movement. Homie's a firefighter up there in AK, and he's doing the good deed of spreading poo-bearing propaganda across the globe. I don't know about everybody out there that's listening, but I absolutely hate it when I see a surface turd or someone just doesn't clean up their wreckage left behind their human excrement, and it's disgusting, and that shit needs to stop. So not only is he one of my very close homies, and we work together on some other projects, he's got a good mission. And it was all started from humble beginnings, which you can ask him all about. Anyways, if you head over to www.thefirewilds and check out the ASS movement and use the code AnchorPointASS10 at checkout, well, you can save 10% off your entire order through the ASS movement. Go check them out. Once again, that is www.thefirewilds.com/the ASS movement. And last but not least, I would like to give a little shout out to my homie Bethany over at the AWE, the American Wildfire Experience, also known as the Smoky Generation. Yeah, you probably heard of it because they are paying it back for the people that are paying it forward. And what do I mean by this? Well, the folks that are telling the story of Wildland fire. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard, but you should have by now if you ever listened to any of these episodes. Yeah. The Smoky Generation is giving out $500 grants for those folks in the field that are telling the story of Wildland fire. It's an awesome cause, and it's only bettering the boots on the ground. So if you want to find out more, go over to www.wildfireexperience.org and check it out. There's a ton of stories. There's a ton of content, and there's some of these stories are dating even back to the 1940s. It's like a oral history, an oral storytelling project, and is all cataloged over at the American Wildfire Experience. So once again, if you want to check it out and find out more, go over to www.wildfireexperience.org and check it out.
The views and opinions of this podcast do not reflect the views and opinions of the United States government, the Department of the Interior, the Department of Defense, the Department of Agriculture, the United States Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or any private, municipal, county, or state firefighting organization, any law enforcement agency, any medical provider, or any contractor employed by any federal agency.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. I hope everybody is doing well, and I hope everybody is gearing up for the, I guess, not even shoulder season. It's the season. I mean, Region 3 is already heating up, and then you got a bunch of stuff going on in, like, I don't know, the Midwest, the East, all over the place. Like, what the hell is going on? And we're having like a start to last year where everything's popping off what seems to be pretty early, but is it going to be a banger of a season, or is it going to peter out like last year? I don't know. Maybe we'll have somebody from Predictive Services on the show to tell us what the crystal ball foretells. Ooh. But I do hope that everybody is doing well, and I hope everybody is in shape and ready for the season, and I hope everybody had a good winter. Apologies for the lack of presence and recording. There's going to be some massive overhauls and updates for the Anchor Point and all of its little projects. So I think you're going to enjoy a lot of them. So yeah, there's going to be some pretty cool stuff. Maybe a Wikipedia, maybe a forum, maybe some other stuff, some information sharing, hot list kind of update stuff. Yeah. Big stuff's happening. It's pretty cool. But anyways, let's get on to it with today. So today on the episode, we are going to have Anthony Powers. He's one of the co-founders of the Hotshot Up Foundation. And the Hotshot Up Foundation is a nonprofit organization. It's 501c3. And their mission is to support the families of firefighters who have fallen in the line of duty. It is pretty freaking awesome organization. And they do a kick-ass volleyball tournament every year. So if you want to go and check out this volleyball tournament and go and have a good time and support a good cause, definitely go over to www.hotshotup.com so you can sign up for the 2023 Hotshot Up Volleyball Tournament. Anyways, today on the show, like I said, we got Anthony Powers. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest and awesome human, Mr. Anthony Powers. Welcome to the Anchor Point. There we go. I'm all fancy, man. I like the clap in thing, nice. You know?
Oh, it's a nice clapper, dude.
It's the clap. No, not that. Anyways, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Anchor Point Podcast. Today on the show, I've got Anthony Powers from the Hotshot Up nonprofit organization. What's going on, dude?
What's up, dude? How are you?
Fine and dandy, getting over the sickness that my kids constantly pass like around the house. Yeah, it sucks. As soon as they hit daycare, dude, it's just like it was game over as far as like trying to remain healthy. It's like there was a month that I'm not sick. It's like a miracle.
Yeah, I feel you. I just woke up yesterday morning with a little something scratchy throat, and so I'm feeling the effects of that today, but yeah, we're cutting it up a little bit about that.
Oh yeah,
it's hard to get away from that when they're constantly bringing home with all their little germs. But what can you do, man?
Just roll with the punches, man.
For it.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Sure. So I'm glad to have you on the show today, and yeah, it's been a hot minute, man. We've been trying to like set this thing up for a hell of a long time, probably 6 months, maybe even more.
I think longer. Yeah. Well, we tried last year and it just didn't pan out. And then we tried again earlier this year, but yeah, I'm glad to finally be able to do it. Almost didn't happen again.
I know, dude.
Kids are having a meltdown, right? But again, like it's rad when you got a spouse that can handle that, and just so she got him out of the house. Wasn't smooth, but it happened. So
barely. Well, we're good.
It's quiet, and then we'll be able to knock this out.
Yeah.
So I thank her for that, for sure.
Oh yeah, man. I feel you on the kids. It's difficult at times, trying to like balance like the work and like kids, and yeah, it gets pretty difficult, especially if you have to be in like a quiet place. If you're like recording I'm like, sorry, honey.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the kids, but I got to record.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to have to soundproof your room. They do a lot, man. I can't stress it enough, but to be able to have the job in emergency services and be gone all the time, it has it definitely has its effects on home life. And for all those fire girlfriends, fire wives, fire moms, any type of emergency services, they definitely hold it down, and they deserve a lot of acknowledgement for that. It's a lifestyle that I'm not sure everybody understands, but
not a lot of people can handle too. It takes a special like individual to put up with first responder bullshit, in my opinion. I mean, and that's another thing too, is like the first responders are like, oh, you're a first responder. It must be so hard. You must carry a heavy load. And yeah, you do. But the people that are holding it down and carrying arguably the heaviest load out of that group of folks is definitely the people back at home taking care of the kids and like holding all the stuff together, like while the first responders at work. That's a burden to bear, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, they are the unsung heroes, the ones in the shadows or whatever. Like they say, there's always the better half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So without them, people wouldn't be able to do what they do. So that's a good start to this, I think.
Oh yeah.
Hats off to the wives and moms. Thank you guys for allowing guys like us to do what we do.
Oh yeah. Definitely shout out to those folks that can put up with our crap. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So tell us about yourself, man. So you were a hotshot originally and you moved into structure. We talked about this a little bit off camera, off record. And let's just dive back right into it, man. Get a little background on you and what you've created, what you've done. Yeah. Take it away, man.
Yeah. So, I'm born and raised in Southern California, San Fernando Valley, West Hills, California. And I got into firefighting when I was about 19, and took some classes at Valley College, joined a Type 2 crew, which was Crew 70 Monarchs. And it's a weird full circle. And I was kind of explaining that to you earlier, but so I did a season with that, on that crew for a season, with a couple of my best friends from high school. We all kind of went to EMT school together at West Valley Occupational. Had an older friend that we all kind of knew from the neighborhood that got into wildland firefighting and told me about it. And he was a buddy of mine. And I was like, I hadn't seen him all summer. And surfing bud of mine, I'm like, dude, where you been at? When I ran into him, and next thing you know, he kind of just put us on that path. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You guys would love it. You guys should check it out. Next thing you know, we're hiking hills with them, our local hills in the valley here, and racing up the mountain together. And it all kind of fell into place. Got on that crew, fell in love with it, had some extremely good leaders on that crew that kind of showed us what right looked like, and really kind of drove home the importance of being a good person and making good decisions. Kind of gave me some direction to what I wanted to do. And next year got picked up on the Angeles on a hotshot crew, Bear Divide, worked there for like 7 years, and then made the jump to Dalton as a squad leader, promoted to the rank of captain, left in 2020 to work for Burbank Fire Department. I was given the opportunity and took it. That was a hard decision to make, but I was ready for a change professionally, and I was ready for a change in my home life. With, being a career hotshot, and it was tough to leave, because I really loved that job. But in the midst of all that timeline, you get married, you have kids, and then you start realizing, for me anyways, I started realizing that I was spending a lot more time on cold pieces of line and missing really important things. And I had felt that like it was my turn to carry that other burden, the one that my family had been carrying, with me being gone all the time and doing at least trying to make a change so that I could start kind of carrying some of that load and not be the one that's just gone all the time. And I still am gone, but I'm a lot closer to home.
Yeah.
It's like 20 minutes away from where I live. So
better than halfway across the country.
I get to serve you spend half a lifetime, and serving your nation's communities and protecting them from catastrophic fire and all these different things, and doing your job for public lands and everything else. And it was great. I wouldn't change anything of the path that I chose. As a matter of fact, I miss it a lot because of all the good things that came of it.
I do too.
But now I get to serve the community more locally and have a different impact. And a lot of the stuff that came from the hot shots carries right over into what I'm doing today. It's just a different job,
Still putting foot in the black.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't it wasn't a super well. Yeah, I get to do that. I get to do that still, very fortunate to be able to do that. So, and that it's weird now, because like I was telling you, being able to now take the crew out, which, remembering how, where I came from, starting on that type 2 crew, and now, mobilizing with that crew and taking them out as a crew boss, and kind of seeing myself in those folks, and trying to provide them good direction and help them achieve their goals. You really can't make that up. It's a weird full circle thing. And I'll be doing it this year, potentially, depending on how the season goes, with a buddy that started on that crew with me.
No shit.
Which is like a really good friend of mine from like junior high. Yeah.
Dude, this is so similar to,
it's kind of crazy.
This is like so similar to the end of my fire career, dude. It's like wild, but yeah, I'll get into that later. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
So yeah, very fortunate.
Oh yeah.
No, I was just saying, I feel very fortunate.
There's something special about that full circle like scenario. I don't know. It's crazy, and like things happen for a reason. I'm not a believer in coincidence. Shit happens for a reason. That's the kind of person I am. And it's similar kind of thing happened to me at the end of my fire career. I started my career in Doyle, California, which is like middle of nowhere outside of Susanville. Not really. It's in between like Reno and Susanville, right? And
yeah, I know where Doyle is.
Yeah, dude. I love that station.
It is in the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere for most, but then again, I've been at way more remote duty stations like Powers, Oregon. Oh my gosh. Town of like 67 people, dude. But started my career there, and then went and messed around, did like, the apprenticeship program, went and did hell attack stuff, hotshot stuff, and then come all the way full circle back to where both me and my buddy Bronson started our careers at Doyle Station, and he's the captain and I'm the assistant, and we have our own crew, and it's like, it was just fucking awesome, dude. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rad.
But you did bring up something pretty important there about like the work family balance and being a hotshot and then trying to balance all that family stuff and like having kids and getting married and all of the like life things, right? I will say that, you know, being a hotshot or being a federal wildland firefighter or a contractor or state wildland firefighter in general, it's tough. It's super tough on families, especially when you get to that point where you are married, you have kids, you got the dogs to take care of, all that stuff. And then you have to, sometimes like a lot of people, they have to make that decision. And you and I are both those people that had to make that decision to get out of the game and go do something else. I mean, yeah, we'll still, you know, that whole like climate, that whole career in the Fed service kind of like made us who we are today to some degree. But what was like, I guess what I'm getting at is like, what was like the ultimate decision factor for you? Was it the family or what was it, man, to switch it up?
Oh man, it was a lot of things. Yeah, it was a lot to do with family and just kind of, I always knew that I would regret it if I didn't at least try, you know, to make it happen. Not that, I mean, live with regret on things in hindsight's always 2020, right? But if I didn't try, which isn't really in my like nature, at the end of the day, if I did try and I didn't make it happen, I would have been content with, you know, ending my career as a hotshot or wherever I would have ended up. I would have been completely content. And I would have been able to say, hey, I gave it a shot. And the reason for that was to try to have a better balanced home life, for work and family. And so I gave it a shot, and then the opportunity was there. And it's something that I always wanted to do. It's just, you know, you get that bug, and you start getting really involved with hotshotting, because if you do it, you do it for as long as I did. Unless you love it, why are you there? You know,
no shit.
It can be a pretty miserable place to be sometimes. The job is not glamorous, but you definitely get immersed into that line of work. And you know, if you're not there for what that occupation has to offer, then, you know, you're not there for the money, obviously. So I guess to kind of sum that up, when it was time and that opportunity was presented to me, because I was trying pretty hard. Why try so hard to do something if when you're given the opportunity, you don't go for it?
Yeah.
You know? So, and that's kind of ultimately, I'm talking with my wife and things like that, was like, she's like, well, I want to make sure that you're going to be happy doing this, you know? Because there was some risk with that, you know, and ultimately it was like, yeah, I mean, you could get hurt, you could not pass, and there's some leeway there if you try to, you know, as a career employee with the federal agency, you got 3 years for your quals, and I tried to leave on the best terms possible with the folks that I worked with. Because there's relationships there. And that's what this whole organization, that's what this whole fire service is about. You know, it's about relationships, and the people that have been in it long enough and the people that are coming into it will soon find that out. That's what it's all about. It's about the people, right?
100%, dude.
So, when I did make that move, it wasn't easy. It's like you're taking a hockey player and telling them, okay, hey, you might have been really good at hockey, but now you need to go play golf, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a great analogy or
unless
comparison,
you're Jordan.
but Yeah. Right. And there's just a lot to learn. So, oh, okay, I can do this. It's just the firefighting part isn't necessarily the most difficult thing to figure out, it burns, you put it out, right? Throw dirt, spray water, hot shotting, structure firefighting. There's other complexities to it. And the pace is much different too, which was hard for me to adjust to because everything's like a freaking IA, it's just
dead ass sprint.
Metal, get out. Everything's super fast. And that has to do with timing and things like that. And at first I was like, these guys are freaking crazy, but then they look at some of the stuff that we would do and they're like, those guys are crazy. And it's just you got good people in positions that are good at their jobs, and you got to build that trust, and there's guys that you'll work with throughout your career that you're like, man, that guy's so dialed and he's solid, but that's not a good combination with you as an individual,
Yeah.
Like
kind of like oil and water kind of
try
type.
to respect the other person. Yeah, exactly. They just don't work well together or whatever it is. But for me personally, I always try to look at the team organization because that's what I was brought up in for so long, and just realize that everybody has something to bring to the table. Not everybody's always going to have all the answers. Not everybody's always going to make, the right calls, but that's why we're there as a team, to back each other up and get through whatever that is, whatever it is you guys are dealt with. Just jump in, engage, have a good goal and state, and you'll get out all right. And then have the reality that sometimes you're my dog in the background. Sorry.
You're good, dude.
She's a puppy. You'll get out of it all right. But just know at the end of the day that sometimes you won't, and you do everything right and things can still go wrong. And I think that we can get into that later now, whenever, but when things do go wrong, that sucks because that's the business that we're in. So should we pause this for a second?
You're good, dude. I'm just laughing my ass off because my dogs do the same thing. They're just like be fighting each other. Like, oh my God. It's like right when you have to like be quiet or like you're trying to listen, and then they're just like spazzing out and attacking each other. I get it, man. It's all good. But anyways, man. So yeah, continue on. It's one of those, being a first responder, it doesn't matter if you're wildland or if you're structure or paramedic or like LEO, whenever you're called to something, usually it's somebody's worst day, or there's obviously an emergency, or else you wouldn't be there in the first place. Right. So
right.
Let's continue down with that topic that you brought up there. And let's get into that, because that's a deep subject, man.
Yeah. Whether it happens to you, like somebody personal in your unit, your department, your agency, it affects everybody. If it, the right, it's a difficult thing to talk about. When bad things happen, it's almost like, it's really easy to be like, oh, what were they doing? They should have never been there, and all these things. And the longer you stay in the business of what, these first responders do, it's like, there's a risk, that's associated with everything that you do. And there's risk walking out of your house every day, leaving your house, you can be robbed. That's something that's been going on in our area here more recently, and that's a crazy thing to think about. When I leave, and it's like, man, my family going to be all right. The world is not a very nice place.
No, it's not.
And now being a father and having to be responsible for children. And it's like, man, it's not that you worry about it happening every day, but you think about everything that's going on in our world with school shootings and all this crazy stuff. And it's like, you see it on the news and it's like, yeah, well, it happened. It's almost like it happens so often now. It's not, you don't even have the shock factor anymore. And not to sound like insensitive to that, but it's like, that's the world we're living in these days, you know? And those things, when they happen, it's always a reminder. Like I was in Vegas the other day for a union thing, and, you know, we're landing in the airport and we're looking at the parking lot of that mass shooting that happened at the
Route 66
from the Mandalay Bay, the concert. Yeah. You know, it's just, man, it's just crazy. And so then you think about the job and, you know, police, dude, those guys, the things that people say about them, and I feel for them all the time, you know, and there's going to be bad apples in anything. And sometimes people make mistakes, and whether it was, you know, freaking malicious intent or whatever, that's on that individual. Right. Mm-hmm. That's at least how I try to look at these things. But it's sad that we're in a place in society where we can't, you know, just like look out for one another when those things happen. And that's unfortunate, but, it just sucks when bad things happen with people that you work with, because they're not just coworkers and they talk about like, oh, your fire family or your work family. Yeah. I know that they're, you know, you have your own personal family, but these are people that you grow to know. And again, it goes back to those relationships, and it just sucks when they're gone. Yeah. You know, I lost a good family friend of mine, just lost their father a couple weeks ago, and I was late. I wasn't able to be there for the service, but I showed up after with my kid, because my kid had a baseball game, and I just found myself looking for that person when I'm there. And then it's like, oh, duh, like, cause I'm here for him, you know, and once that person's gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
And you don't get any of that time back, and you see what the family's going through and all that. And when it happens in the fire service, it's really easy to have those old feelings come back when maybe a friend of yours that you knew, you know, died doing what they love or whatever, or not even like it doesn't even have to happen on the job, but when it does happen on the job, it's just a reality check, that we work in a very dangerous profession. And, even though you try to do everything right, and, you try to manage and mitigate every single risk and hazard that's out there, manage the risk and mitigate the hazards. It's still, you're never gonna be safe. Right. And for those folks that think that you will be safe, I'd love to have a couple beers with those people and talk with them and have them convince me that firefighting in any regime, wildland structure, whatever it is a safe environment to operate in. It isn't. It's a very violent, unpredictable arena of work.
Oh yeah.
And we are asked to operate in that and make and put all these different, you know, plugs of things that to make sense of it all, and go out and carry forth a mission and accomplish that mission the most efficient way possible and be as safe as possible. But we all know, anybody that's been in the game, it's not a safe environment. It's not a safe job. It's dangerous. Yeah.
But also at the same time, man, I mean, you become vehement, maybe not when you're like fresh in the game, right? Like you're at first through third, even arguably like a fifth year firefighter. You're still kind of like, I don't know, almost delusional about how risky this job is, I want to say. But you come a point where you become vehemently aware of how dangerous it is. But fuck, man, that's at the same time, it's invigorating. It's like, that's like the stuff that just, I think, drives that kind of personality type. And we love it, as risky as it is. It's like, how else do you explain it, man? Besides an adrenaline addiction.
Well, yeah, there's that. that's what makes it fun, right?
Right.
That's what makes it fun. I mean, and you try to do everything and put, the benefit of operations in your, to be successful. Nobody wants to go in and put in all this work to be unsuccessful. I don't like doing that.
I don't think
I like
anybody
doing
does.
things the right way. And, but yeah, I mean, if you don't thrive in those situations, then you won't be successful. Right. I guess that's one way to look at it. And then on the other hand, there's always like the uncontrollable things that, you never saw coming or you just had no control over. And that's nobody's fault. That's nobody's fault. And then the bad thing happens, and then you're stuck having to deal with that situation, and seeing that happen sucks, and you just try to do the best you can with what you got.
Oh yeah. It's hard, man. It's like you're sitting there witnessing the horrors of humanity, and it sometimes it's hard to deal with, I mean, especially when it's those uncontrollable things, and especially when you're like trying to do everything to mitigate or transfer that risk or move it around or like take away every hazard. It's like shit happens at the end of the day. Sometimes shit happens, man.
Yeah. It's funny. We get in conversations about like risk transfer and all that, and shared risk and all these different things. Like some of those terms just kind of rub me the wrong way, because at the end of the day, that, it's nothing. And I mean, you got command and control, right? We talk leadership stuff or whatever. Command and control. The people that are in command, they're not in control at all. They make decisions, they set objectives, and they tell people to go out and carry forth those things, but they're not in control of what happens. And then something changes, and how often does that message not get communicated back to those folks that are in command and at the levels that it needs to, right? And so that's where you're going to have those mishaps on why didn't you get that, whatever it is, logistics, whatever. And then that's a fickle system. And you're always behind the curve, it seems like, on the ever expanding incident, the rapid, just take a fire, for example. They're burning faster and getting larger. And the last fire I was on, I was a division on a fire that was like 17 miles, I think if I remember the map, it was like 17-mile drive from one end to the other. And that was not a direct as the crow flies, right? It was like, it took me 35 minutes to get to the other side, to get around through a city. And so it's like, how am I supposed to be in control of all these different little subdivisions and things that are going on? I'm not in control.
It's like that fog of war mentality, man. You just can't keep up with it.
Yeah. No, it's, and that was day one, and it's like, yeah, sure. I'll help you guys out, go in there and working with a trainee, who was going to go out there and deal with it by himself. And it's like, well, there's only one way for us to deal with this. We're going to split it up, and you take this side, I'll take this side. It was his first day there too, and it's like, I don't know what we have. Who's been here yesterday, and asking the folks in the morning. And then thankfully there was some guys that were there where I could get some kind of, where can we meet where we can make sense of what's going on today? All right, cool. Let's go meet there. Let's get out of this ICP, or, and fire's rolling down the freaking hill. I turn around, I'm like, well, that's our division.
Shit.
To get out there.
We should probably go engage.
Figure this out, right? Yeah, it was a short-lived thing, but yeah, so then you go out there, you try to make sense of everything, and you try to make good decisions and to have the best outcome possible, right? And we're good at it. We're good at doing that. But you got to build those rapid trust relationships, and trust is a very, very it's hard. It's implicit trust you'll hear people talk about, do you really trust that person? Probably not. But trust but validate or whatever. And then
trust
and
but
then you go out
verify.
and make sense of it. And then and then you go out and then you accomplish some things together and you get the job done. Right. That's the whole goal there is maybe not trust everybody. Like, it's not a perfect world, but
blind faith is dangerous, man.
The people that are there. Yeah. Go out there and realize that the people are there. Like, don't build the barriers. Don't come across as that freaking cocky person that's not approachable.
Just don't be an asshole.
I've been that guy when I was, when I was younger in my career, 3 years on a hotshot crew, I thought I knew everything. Oh, who these guys, and just being a jerk to people. And it's like, that's, that was just culture earlier, and I was in that transitional phase of hotshot crews where it was like crews didn't talk to each other, but then it's like, wait a minute, that guy's cool. Like, I'm going to go say hi to that guy, that person, like, what are you doing talking? And that wasn't even really a thing on my crews. But there was that going on still.
That old school mentality.
Yeah. And I think it's in a much better place now. Like, people, you see the overhead, they're buddies and they're saying hi, and that's a good thing.
Oh yeah. 100%. But that's a cool thing too. Going. That's a good thing though. I think, that like over the course of when did you start again? Your fire career? So in
2004.
Okay. So you're about the same, I guess, generation of firefighter that I am. So I started in 2009, and I think that you and I were in that unique kind of time frame with Wildland firefighting, where you got to see like the tail end of the old school and that transition into what we have today. And like some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it's indifferent, but it's definitely changed. But that's a lot of things that have changed. That's not just like crew mentality and the stuff that we're talking about here with like attitudes and that like reducing the toxic environment and the chest pounding and all that bullshit. Honestly, it's bullshit. And it even includes like fire behavior and fuels, because I was talking to Ron Boyer a couple episodes ago, and he was saying that, dude, like the fire regime has changed so dramatically from when I was a hotshot and I was like the captain and the superintendent and stuff to nowadays. What I'm seeing now, it's night and day different. And I don't know if you've seen a change in that fuel regime as well, because I know you've seen the change in, I guess, operating and people, but I think I've seen a pretty dramatic change in fire behavior as well.
Well, I remember when Ron was like, when he had Fulton, and we worked a lot with Fulton on the LP. I think back to fires in their neck of the woods, up in like Inyo Kern and LP fires. And it always seemed like and those back then were like the mega fires, you know what I mean? Like, think of like the Zaka 2, the Day Fire that came over, and those were like mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And those were all like big campaign fires that had, major, acreage days where fire would blow out. And now that was, I don't want to say that was rare, because I didn't fight fire before those ones, but at the time those were like the mega fires. It's like, man, we've never seen anything things like that happen before in this area or whatever. And now it just seems like it's that's the norm, that is that new fire behavior is the norm. And and it's not maybe just that the fire regime, if they say, if that's the term that we're using here,
fire climate regime, like fucking whatever you want to call it. Fire behavior. They're getting bigger faster, and they become more catastrophic, right? And they're taking it. But then again, like a lot of communities have encroached into an area
that they necessarily weren't before.
Mm-hmm. The wooey.
And so that's, yeah. Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's everywhere. So,
yeah. Well, where are people going to go besides out? That's like the whole thing. And then everybody's dreams to have a little slice of heaven out in the, in Verdi or in Truckee or wherever,
Yeah. Take a look out a window on a flight, just jump on a flight from Northern California to Southern California on a day when there's not a lot of cloud cover and look what's under, look at that elevational platform, what Air Attack looks at. And it's like, it's everywhere.
Oh yeah.
There's communities and subdivisions sprinkled all over a very aggressive landscape, that loves fire.
Oh yeah.
And so, that's a reality of it. And it's like, well, maybe this canyon that you wouldn't have been so worried about fire ripping through, now we are, because there's a lot of value there now in homes and lives, and that we're trying to protect people's livelihood. So I don't see it getting any better. I mean, this year we've gotten so much rain, right? And so, I don't know what fire season's going to look like. I don't like making that guess.
Everybody wants to play
I've had
the crystal
super
ball,
dry
man.
years. Yeah, we were talking about it. Like, you're still going to need the starts in the right spots and in the right weather to push that thing around and help it go where it needs to go. But it will never be out.
Yeah,
never be out of a job in the West.
Yeah, that's 100% sure. That's 100% certain. But yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon for a fire to go 500,000 acres now. It seems like that's the part that baffles me. And yeah, it's freaking gnarly. But yeah, with these mega fires coming into the whole, I guess, picture and that whole, like, I don't know how we do business. I mean, it's bound for that unforeseen thing to happen. And that's unfortunately part of the job, like we're talking about earlier. And so let's kind of move that into like your inspiration of why you started Hotshot Up and like your motivation behind that, because you've seen some of this shit happen firsthand and you decided to create a nonprofit behind it. And I think that's fucking honorable, man. It's awesome that you do that. So let's talk about Hotshot Up and what it's all about, like what the whole idea behind it is.
Yeah. So you said a couple things. I'm the self-proclaimed president of this nonprofit organization, Hotshot Up, right? I didn't start it myself. I've been managing it. I kind of took the ball and ran with it, but it was a collaborative effort. Back when I was on Dalton, and in 2016, and I've kind of talked about this before with some other folks, but so it's the repetition. I'll apologize, but for those that haven't heard, in 2016 was when we had some friends that lost their homes on the Sand Fire on the Angeles. And that was a Santa Ana wind-driven fire. And kind of like what you said, like the mega fires, right? Like a 500,000 acre fire, mega fire. Like that's almost like a normal fire today, right?
Yeah. We feel like
we're getting those all the time.
Yeah. It feels like we've adapted that to normalcy now.
Yeah. Right. And so the people are dealing with these things, and they're being asked to go out and make sense of these things. And they don't have the resources to do it. Maybe. I know that there's a lot less crews that are available, but not to get too far into the weeds on that. Back to the Hotshot Up thing. That year was a busy year in SoCal, and Sandfire it ripped. It basically started on the north end of the Angeles backcountry off the 14 and Soledad Canyon, ripped over the top Santa Clara Divide, went all the way to the front country within 2 days up and over the crest there, not the Crest Highway, but the Santa Clara Divide. And then burned down into Pacoima Canyon. And then it was impressive, man. You watch this thing burn all the way across, and then it got hung up, and then the onshore winds started surfacing, and this thing just did a 180 and right back the other way. Just burnt. Yeah. Just right underneath everything. It just burned within like a 2-hour period. And then it just started racing the other way. And then it ripped back up Pacoima Canyon towards Bear Divide and Camp 9. And ultimately, I think it was Big Bear that was up on top, and they started dragging fire on the top, and then brought it back down to Placerita Canyon. But you're talking about a very large footprint of some good country on the west end of the what they used to call the Los Angeles River Ranger District, which is now called the Gateway on the Angeles, right? And so that's where I spent my whole career, on that side and on the east end of the Angeles on the Baldy side. Both impressive places to fight fire, especially with Santa Ana conditions. But during that time, there was some residents that were at Bear Divide, friends of ours, that burnt down, and they lost it all. And during that same time of year, we had been fighting fire. We were kind of sistered up with a crew. I want to say it was the season before, with Hotshot. It might, what was it? Horseshoe Meadow Hotshots. And that's when Frankie had his battle through cancer, and ultimately he ended up passing away. And that we were on a project one day, and we were all kind of bummed out about all these things that were happening. And we just were like, well, let's do something about it. Let's not just talk about how bummed out this is. And let's try to make something positive out of all this bad, which is something you kind of just do as in the fire service, right? Like you said, you show up on a bad day and it's not your problem, but you try to help with that problem.
Yeah. You got to polish some turds every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, sometimes in these circumstances, it's, you start feeling for those individuals and back to those relationships, and that, accomplishing things together. That's what brings that bond closer. And that's where we were like, well, let's do something. And so a bunch of the guys on the crew, and this one cat, Efren, super cool guy. He actually works in Alaska now, Anchorage Fire Department. And, his wife was originally from Alaska, and I always used to mess with him and be like, dude, you're going to go be an Eskimo now. And he loves it up there, and it's so rad. And we actually had an assignment to Alaska in like 2018 or something like that. Nice. It's a rad spot.
It's cool, man.
It's way up there. The sun never went down, and the mosquitoes are heinous, but I'm not going to complain about our assignment. We had it pretty sweet where we were. He was like, hey, what about volleyball? Cause that's something we always used to play at Dalton for our 601, and at the end of the week on a Friday, which would have been like a Wednesday, I think we had Thursday, Friday, Saturdays off on a 410, which was a very sought after schedule these days, which has been taken away from folks, and they're pretty upset about it. But
people are pissed about that.
I wish them the best and that's another thing that was good for the people, right? And I don't know what the agendas are, and I don't understand it, but hopefully whatever it is that they're doing, it's going to work out for the better. But so we would play volleyball and maybe have a couple sodas after hours, and we used to call it slam jam, right? And so guys, alumni would come, they'd come and we'd play volleyball, and that was always just a good way to end the week and blow off some stress or whatever. And we wouldn't worry about work, and some of us would be grumbling about work or talking about whatever. And but we'd play a little bit of volleyball. And so we said, okay, volleyball, what do we do? Beach volleyball tournament. Boom, let's do it, right? And then so here's the guys with great ideas. And me and you were talking about, I was that guy earlier, right? About having a good idea about something and then not being the guy to carry it out. So I ended up kind of just saying, all right. And a couple other guys, we all just kind of jumped on it and, to make it happen. And I keep driving the spike here to keep it going. And so that first tournament, that first event that we had, I think we had maybe like 13 teams or something, 12 teams. I don't remember. But what we wanted to do, we couldn't do because we weren't a nonprofit. And that was right in the infancy stages of the U.S. Hotshot Association. And so I reached out to some friends of mine that were on the board with them and still currently on the board. Superintendent Mike Allerud at the time, he was retired but involved with this, and then Stan Stewart, was probably retired. He's passed since then.
Yeah.
But talking with those guys and telling them what we wanted to do, and I talked to quite a few of them, still do, and they agreed to saying, yeah, we'll figure it out. Stan wanted to do whatever he could. And we were there to say, hey, yeah, we want to put this on. Let's use your organization as the umbrella and the entity that will receive donations. And then you guys can turn around and whatever money we raise, we'll raise money and give it to the families that lost their homes, and give it to the family of Frankie to help out with whatever we could to the guys from Horseshoe. And that's how we got the ball moving with Hotshot Up. And then every year it was just like, oh, who are we going to do it for next year? And still working with U.S. Hotshot Association. And then Eric Marsh Foundation came in. They wanted to be a part of it. And so we brought them in. And then then COVID hit, and that took some of the wind out of our sails because we couldn't do this event anymore.
Yeah.
So that's when talking with a buddy of mine who is the VP, his name's Ryan. He also worked on Dalton with me, and then now he works for Ventura County Fire. And that's kind of where this whole thing started. His family helped to fund the first they actually funded the whole thing.
Oh, damn.
The first event. Yeah, they funded the whole thing because his family has a big background in charity and really believed in what we wanted to do. And so that's kind of how the whole thing was born. And then in 2020, because of COVID, that's when me and him started chatting and decided to turn this into its own nonprofit. And aside from the event, and the event is one thing, the organization is another. That's kind of like our flagship event, right? Like our intentions are to continue to do that, provided that people want to still support and people want to come out and play volleyball and have a good time while doing it.
Yeah, it's like a community component.
And then
like a community.
Yeah, event. And it's a great place for people to come out, and it's at the beach and just kind of kick your shoes off. Guys that want to play volleyball and get all jazzed up on the competition. It's pretty funny. Guys get into it, and it's good. It's healthy competition. And so last year we had, I think 30 teams.
30?
And I think we had 36 person teams. Yeah.
Damn.
This year we're floating. We still got spots open, and everybody likes to wait till the last minute. It's April 15th. So if you're coming, sign up. It helps us out with the planning and logistics and everything. And then we get people that sign up last day. I don't like turning people away, but we do have a max capacity of 32 this year. It's at a new location. It's at it used to be at San Buenaventura State Beach, but that place got hammered with the winter storms, the surf, and took out volleyball courts, and the sand's all jacked up. So we actually moved the event to Harbor Cove Beach, which is located at 1990 Spinnaker Drive in Ventura. It's a good spot. There's the people that lease out the courts there. It's a private leasing. It's called Rincon Volleyball or Harbor Beach Cove Courts. I tag them in all of our stuff on Instagram or whatever, and they're giving us an awesome opportunity to have it there. They take care of their courts there pretty well, and there's the Harbor Cove Village, which is right across the street. And we got some local business going to be doing the catering for us. Some Mexican food and some Greek food, which is kind of been the theme of our event. It's Margarita Villa and the Greek restaurant. I forget the name of it, but I don't have it on hand. But they'll be there. The owner is going to be doing the cake. He was all over it. He was stoked to want to do it.
That's right, dude.
But it's going to be a little tighter this year too. So interested to see how it's all going to pan out with how many people come. But it's a good time. I don't want to, I could go down a list of folks that are helping us do that, but I think I'll do that in a minute. But the event has our mission in turning this into a nonprofit was like, well, what are we going to do? We don't want to, be stepping on people's toes, with the U.S. Hotshot Association or Eric Marsh or Wildland Firefighter or anything like that. And now crossing over from the Wildland side to the structure firefighting side, I'm like, well, let's just do it for just firefighters. Any firefighter line of duty death can be where we can have an impact and support. And how we do that throughout this, annual year or whatever, we'll choose who we do it for, because we do have our normal everyday jobs and family, right? And so I can't dedicate my existence to this, although sometimes it feels like I do.
I can feel you there, bro.
For as much time as I for as much time as I can dedicate to it, we will pick a line of duty death or several line of duty death firefighters annually, and we will raise funds to support their family to do what they wish with those funds. And so we're not generating millions of dollars here. It's more than just raising money. It's about that community and bringing people together, because when these bad things happen and the agencies come in and they do what they do, and if you've ever been to one, I'm sure you have, you see all that's great of the fire service, right? But then when it's all done and it goes away, then where we come in is kind of just like, hey, we heard about what happened, and whether we know that person or not. Like this year, I didn't know those people. I can talk to you a little bit about how we chose who we chose this year, but and who those people are. But it's also just to kind of show that like the fire service is filled in of good people, and we want to go out and we want to do good things, and we want to create awareness of these incidents so that people don't forget, and then just give them, those families, that day, and let them know that like we care and we're going to do something about it. And if we're able to raise a little bit of coin to give them to do what they wish with it, while bringing our community together, then that's plenty good, right? It's all good stuff.
Oh yeah.
It creates an opportunity for for fire departments that come out, and for them to meet outside of the fire ground,
Yeah.
and like a low stress. The only stress is what place you're going to get in the volleyball tournament, right?
But your kids running around.
Yeah. And that's what's good about Harbor Cove too, is it's in the harbor. So the water's super, super mellow there. It's going to be good. It's going to be a little tighter. So people might not be able to bring like the full get up that they're, it's a good time on the sand, man. And people have fun, but, it's a good environment for, firefighters to bring their families to the beach, take a day, honor some of our fallen brothers or sisters, give them that day to and the families that day to show that, even though we're in Southern California, we're paying attention, and we want to create awareness for those that paid that ultimate sacrifice in a line of duty death, doing the job that I love, doing the job that they loved. And everything that we talked about earlier, that's the reality of the job that we do, is that sometimes people don't come home.
Yeah.
And so that's
a side note on to when people don't come home, and it's organizations like yours that exist for these reasons, and they're important because a lot of people don't like to talk about the ugly truths of when people don't come home. Unfortunately, sometimes there's a lot of financial hardship, a lot of burden that's placed on the families. I hate saying it, but death is expensive. It's ridiculously expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It stacks up, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we try to make, like, we set a goal, we're realistic, and we're a small fish in a big pond, and I'm still learning a lot about the impacts and everything that the organization can do. So we set a goal for each recipient at $10,000, and those funds that will get distributed to the families to do as they wish with it, and so that's the other side of it, is trying to help out financially. But then the other side of it is showing those families that the community is able to come together, and we're doing it in this fun way. Yeah. We're not just sitting here like asking for a handout, Yeah. We're actually trying to like create a good event that's healthy and a good environment for people to come and enjoy themselves, all while, paying our respects and honoring those fallen. That's the goal and the mission of Hotshot Up.
Love it, man. It just goes to show you that firefighters, they're very well known for taking care of each other. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, we do our best, I don't even know what to say about that.
The community.
We could be doing less.
We could be. And luckily we're not.
So. There's ways to move the needle for financially, financial stuff, like the GoFundMe's and all that stuff. That's a huge platform, and it's easy. It's super easy. You click a button, you boom, send money.
Yeah.
And then you did your part, that's awesome. That's the way to move the needle. We're trying to do it on a different level. If the needle's already moved financially, like, okay, well, we can raise some coin, but then again, we want to create, like I said, an environment and in a community where people feel positive about going and participating in what we create, which I think these events they don't just happen. It's a lot of work. And that's why we only do this, one a year, or maybe we're trying to start looking at maybe doing like some smaller stuff here and there. But this one's a lot of work, and we don't have a lot of people doing the work. So, that's why it's tough to do a lot of things, but we're starting to, at the more that we're around and the longer that we stay in existence and doing what we do, the goal is to have more people take notice and start to utilize us, and that it's there for everyone now that we are an official 501c3 nonprofit organization. It's not mine. It's not my bros, it's everybody's now.
It's everybody's.
So if people want to use it for something, they can use it. And that's, I think, how we'll help move the needle for things, and there's others out there, and we all know who they are and what they do. And they're awesome. We're another one, and we're available for anybody as long as it meets our mission. Right. And that's our mission is supporting line of duty death firefighters.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. It's like, in my opinion, man, I think that more is a good thing. I think that organizations like yours and whatever other firefighter wellness fund or Wildland Firefighter Foundation or Eric Marsh, all those folks, they have there can't be enough of them, in my opinion. Everybody's doing their part. It's just like little different flavors of that part. And I love that about the fire community. But as far as supporting firefighters in general, I think that's huge because you're one of the first organizations to actually come out and say, yeah, this is open to everybody, at least to me, at least. I mean, yeah, you guys support everybody? That's another thing that's critical, I mean, there's other organizations out there that do it too, but you're the person who kind of said the quiet part out loud. I'd like that. That's cool.
Yeah. I don't like lines in the sand. You know what I mean? Unless it's the volleyball lines at our tournament. I'll spend more time tearing down barriers guaranteed than I will creating them.
That's the way it should be, man. Honestly, it should be that way.
Yeah.
But speaking of barriers too, I mean, you personally are involved with other organizations trying to move that needle on a lot of different fronts. So if you want to get into the grassroots and Diffie thing, man, if you can, I'd love to hear about how you guys all came together and are trying to move the needle even farther.
Yeah. I will let me, so if we're going to get into that, I want to thank some folks too. And cause we started talking about Hotshot Up, and I just want to let people know who we're doing it for this year. So this year's, Hotshot Up 2023, we are honoring Colin Hagen from Craig Hotshots. Colin, unfortunately, on the big swamp fire in Oregon, he was 27 years old. He was struck by a tree and he perished and died from that tree strike incident. And it was a pretty raw deal, from what I understand about it. It seems, and like I told you earlier today, I got an email from his mom, and I hope when she hears this, that was, and I haven't responded to the email yet, right? But so she wanted to donate $150 to pay for a team's meal that's planned, because she noticed that we had a Mexican food caterer, and that was Colin's favorite cuisine. So she's like, oh, I want to do this. And then she asked me for a t-shirt, and she's like, I'll pay for it. And I'm like, you don't have to pay for anything. We're doing this for you.
That's so right.
I know. And so if you think about the family aspect of that, and they're just good people, and everybody I talked to from the soup, from Craig and his sister, Emily, has kind of been my point of contact for this whole thing. They just seem like super wholesome, down to earth, good people, and when I get an email like that, that tells me that what we're doing is important, and it's good, and it validates the effort. Right. And so that's, from Colin Hagen, Craig Hotshots, and this is for them too. And anybody that knew him, that's how we pick who we do it for, right? It doesn't have to be someone in California or anybody in the nation, right? That's what the volleyball tournament's for. And we can do this for other things, for other people, right? But it's always going to be in line. The volleyball tournament will always be in line with that, firefighter line of duty death. That's who we'll choose annually. The other individual, his name was, everybody called him as Max. His first name was Vidal Max Fortuna. On January 31st of 2022, he was responding to an outside fire, which I believe was a dumpster fire that was outside of a building, and forcing entry into the adjacent structure to check for extension, where he was actually shot by the building occupant and owner.
Oh shit.
And and died on scene. He was 47 years old, wife, kids, the whole thing. Everybody knew him as a good dude. Both these guys, everybody spoke extremely highly about these people, and they're missed. And so this is kind of a weird one with Stockton, right? So when I found out that this happened, I was taking a class at Red Helmet Fire Training in Rancho Cucamonga, and his friend, everybody knows him as his ex. I'm not going to use his whole name, but he's pretty well known in the structure firefighting world. He showed up that morning. I want to say it was like a day or two after it happened, and it had just happened. So it might've been the day before it happened. And when he introduced himself, it was like, I'm from Stockton, and everybody in the class was like, oh, and like, kind of, everybody pulled back and was like, oh man, like, how you doing? I was like, what happened? I didn't realize what happened yet. So look on my phone later and I'm like, oh crap. And I read the news article and everything. And I was like, this guy is going through a hard time right now. And so he was walking home to his hotel or whatever. And I saw him walking, and I pulled up beside him, and I was just like, hey. And I asked him, I was like, dude, you need a lift, give you a lift to where you're going? And he told me, like, no, I'm good to walk. Good walk would be good for me right now. And I'm like, all right, dude.
Just immediately
I get
knew
it.
Yeah, just immediately knew.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not going to pry into that. And, my intentions weren't to like talk to him about this or anything. It was just check in on him, see if he needed a freaking ride. I don't know how far he's going to walk.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, hey, what's your number? Give me your phone number and I'll text you later, and maybe we can grab a beer or something, and just kind of put myself in his shoes and thinking that maybe he could use a buddy just to listen, And so I texted him later, and sure enough, he was at the bar. And I was like, where are you at, dude? I'll come meet you, grab some dinner. And so I get there, and I sit down next to him, and I end up drinking a beer or two with them and getting a burger. And we just kind of cut it up for a little bit. I tried to be a friend to him. Even though I was kind of a stranger, we had some common ground in firefighting, right? So that's easy. And so then it wasn't until a couple months later when I reached out to him and told him that I run this nonprofit organization and I'd like to honor his friend. And he was just like, "Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to get anybody to come play volleyball. Stockton's a pretty hardcore structure fire department, but they burn a lot, and you can check out their videos on YouTube or whatever. Those guys are always going to fires. But yeah. And he talked to a couple of his buddies, and I got into a group text with them, and they were all super stoked, on what we're doing and how we're honoring his friend. And, so for the brothers at Stockton Fire Department and the brothers and family and sisters from Craig Hotshots, we're doing it for them. Because we understand, what that's like. And knock on wood, and thankfully it hasn't happened to me directly with someone that I've worked with on the same crew. Like, I do know what it's like to lose a friend in the fire service. The longer you stay in this line of work, the chances of you knowing that person go up exponentially, right?
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, it's happened, and it affects you on different levels. So that's why we do it. And I want to thank some people, my family and Ryan's family, who have always obviously supported us since day one. Are some major sponsors this year, and someone I'd like to recognize as legacy sponsors is like Mystery Ranch. Those guys are freaking rad. Lucas, dude, you're freaking rad. Everything you're doing, with grassroots and everything else. Hats off to you, dude. You're an awesome person.
Dude, he's killing it.
Yeah. And just a friend, like we never worked with each other, like directly on the line. And if we did, we didn't know each other then, but I just respect that dude a lot for everything he's doing. Also the California Community Foundation, which is an extension of the Walker family, and Ryan Walker, is the VP of that Ventura County firefighter, who worked with me on Dalton. Dude's stand-up dude. He's rad. He's a really good friend of mine, and his family is always supporting us year after year and doing this. Ventura County Firefighter Union 1364. Those guys wrote over a check they do every year. Another friend of mine who's always supported us, his name's Lalo Ledesma. He's an ex-hotshot. He runs a tree trimming service called the Tree Service Kings. The guy's freaking the best in the business. He's massive now. It's crazy. He started his own freaking empire with a pickup truck and a chainsaw,
That's rad.
And he funded his business from hot shotting. And now he's huge. It's crazy.
He's crushing
to see
it.
Everything he's done. Yeah. Yeah. And he's always in support. Good family friends, the Coreys, they run Thrash and Supply Co., which is like a motorcycle. They always donate gear and they always sponsor a court. Lance and Courtney Corey. Thank you guys for getting behind us in what we're doing. Marianne Stark runs a tax service for firefighters and first responders, and she's located in Laverne. Her husband was an ex-Dalton hotshot and retired Anaheim firefighter, and her whole family, all of her sons, they're all firefighters for different agencies. She always sponsors a court since day one. Those are like our legacy sponsors, right? Also, we have Firefighters First Credit Union. That'll be their second year. NIFI, this is their second year sponsoring it. NIFI Wildland in Max Alonzo.
Max?
Yeah, dude, he's rad.
He's cool, dude.
And he comes out every year sponsoring a court, and also paying the way for 2 teams to come in and for guys that have joined his union and are supporting his fight for federal wildland firefighters in conjunction with grassroots, right? The fact that those 2 guys are working together is awesome. I want to give a shout out to the Burbank Firefighters Local 778. Earlier this year, we did a clay shoot to celebrate 25 years of the Monarchs Type 2 hand crew, which is the one that I started on. before I became a hotshot, and we were able to raise some good coin to apply to this year's. So, I mean, we're looking really good as far as financing. The whole event's going to be funded, and anybody that comes to our event is basically putting some money towards the cause, right? So shout out to them. We also have Prep and Defend, who's coming in with the sponsorship. So, I mean, this list is just, it's crazy to see this support, right? They're going to come in and sponsor Core. Prep and Defend is another ex-Texas Canyon hotshot who now works for LA County, and he runs his own podcast. You've probably heard of it or seen it. I've been on his podcast before. He's going to be there sharing his business and trying to help people take control of their destiny in the fire service. And I'm just running down this list here. And then obviously a big shout out to the beer folk at Topa Topa. They're with us at everything. It seems like they're always stepping up to do things with us. And so thank you to them. And then a newer brewery that's in Fillmore, Red Engine Brewery. Those guys will be on site as well. We got a lot of folks coming out this year, which is great on the support side. And so the more people that come out to the event and support it, the better. And it's all going to a good cause and going to aid us in our efforts on supporting our mission for the future. So I just want to thank everybody, thank my family for getting behind me on this thing and supporting it every year. Because it's without them, they're always jumping in. We're making sure it's helping me get things ready to go. They're there, they're helping at the event and just holding it down. So it's pretty rad to get this kind of support, year after year, so I can't thank those guys enough.
Hell yeah, man.
So I had to get that out there and talk about, before we moved on, everybody that we've supported in the past, and all the crews that come out. I hope you guys continue coming out. And we'll see you April 15th, 2023 at Harbor Cove Beach for this year's Hotshot Up.
Sweet.
Well, shameless plug. Anybody, it's open to the public. Come on out.
Question for you though. Where can we go to sign up? Like, where do we find more information about your website and everything?
Right. Yeah. So just, the website's easy. It's hotshotup.com. So www.hotshotup.com. We do have some spots open still. Our max capacity is 32 teams. First come, first serve. We got about, I think, 18 signed up right now. So if you guys haven't signed up and you're planning to, just get it done. Sign up already. You could pay for the entry fee later. You get your tournament play, your meals, some beverage tickets, and some sweepstakes giveaway stuff will be given in that entry fee. So yeah. And obviously on Instagram, if you guys want to follow us, it's hotshot_up on Instagram, and the same on Facebook. I'm not a crazy, I do my best. I do a lot of the social media stuff. I do my best to make sure it gets on Facebook too, but I don't have the time to. So if there's anybody that wants to join our board and be our social media person, and that we could use some help.
I was about to say, man, it kind of sounds like you guys need a little bit of some volunteer work, man. So, I mean, can we just reach out through the website for volunteers or? Yeah. We have our email that's set up there. It's just the normal at Gmail. It's a hotshotup 501c3 at Gmail is our general inbox, or they can reach out on Instagram. You're looking at them. I'm the guy. Who does your, people are always asking me, who does your Instagram? I'm like, I do. And they're like, oh, you're pretty good at it. I'm like, really? Thanks. I have no idea what I'm doing.
I just put music. Yeah. I just put music and pictures and whatever. But, it seems to work out.
Yeah.
The word's getting out enough but I know there's probably some unturned corners that and things that I guess I'm not really educated in.
That's everybody, man.
I try to be as active as we can, but it's social media. It is what it is.
It's free advertising.
Haters gonna hate, right?
Right.
Yeah, it is free advertising. I don't know how to get that blue dot, that blue check thing. Everybody's like, you need to get the blue check. And I'm like, I've applied for the blue check, and they keep telling me I don't get it.
You don't qualify for it. Yeah. They keep doing the same shit to me. I got one on Twitter, which is weird because that's like my least active platform. So I don't know how the hell this shit works, funny. But, yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, life's not all about freaking.
Dude, social media is not a real place. Like the internet is not a real place, but luckily we can host these conversations on the internet, which has a very specific.
Yeah. And then we're going to put it on the internet, and then we're going to put it on there when we're done so that people push it and say they like it.
Perfect. Well, Anthony, man, I appreciate you coming on the show and kind of giving the background story about you and like the brains, this one part of the brains behind Hotshot Up. And looking forward to seeing how your volleyball tournament goes this year. It's definitely a cool cause, and I'm super into it, man.
Yeah, rad. Yeah, one day I got to get up north to go to the talk with the guys from the vertical drop, and man, I've been wanting to go to that thing freaking for like the past 5 years, and I would have actually gone this year, but I can't bail on Easter because they're doing it the weekend of Easter. My wife has plans with the family, so I won't be able to make it this year. But hopefully next year, or maybe we can coordinate something for the future. But I really just want to go hang out with those guys because I know a lot of the North Zone crews and stuff go and hang out at that one, and I'd love to go run into some of my old friends that. I'm sure there's some people that I'd run into that I haven't seen in a really long time. Well, but, I always feel that's a good one. So shout out to those guys.
It's a good event, dude. It's fun.
If you can make it to that event. Yeah, obviously you've been, yeah.
Yeah. I know all those guys. Like I know a lot of the Silver State and Black Mountain folks. So I worked around here in Carson City. So it's kind of like second nature.
Yeah. I mean, you live right up there. So that's rad. But you asked me earlier about when we were talking about Lucas and about like grassroots and Niffy and all that, right?
Yeah. Like I didn't know you're like at first I didn't know you're like really good and tight friends with Max and Luke. And now you're kind of involved loosely with grassroots and Niffy as well. Yeah, I try to be so it's a weird thing. And I talk with Max on the phone. And I talk with Lucas on the phone. And it's kind of weird with this whole, like in the U.S. Hotshot Association and the way that I try to stay involved with that thing with everything that they're involved with. And it's not, it's like, where does Hotshot Up fit in that? And I don't know if it's the perfect, puzzle piece, or if it's even a part of that puzzle, but, I guess it's just like the direction on where things are going. And I guess my history and work experience and everything that kind of culminated to what I'm doing now with this organization and everything that they're working for, like I believe in, right? And I want to support it any way that I can. And so whether that's me just helping them get the word out to our, small little, nucleus of social media followers or whatever, I just believe in like cultivating and fostering like good working relationships. And I believe, like I said, in what they're doing. I think nothing but good will come from it as far as like helping the people. Right. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I'm just tired of seeing like good friends of mine get the short end of the stick. And it's not that it like financially, whatever. I mean, just today and like in this day and age, we shouldn't be compensating anybody that
takes on as much risk in the line of work that they do and be compensating less than somebody that's flipping burgers. And that kind of pisses me off, you know? And it bothers me in the sense that like it's a job that is extremely important. It's a very dynamic and, you know, unforgiving environment. And these are real people that are trying to make, you know, do in an economy that is not friendly to any. I mean, I feel for those people, you know, and it's until those things change, like it's always going to be difficult for them to advance in their personal lives, you know. And it's like people don't. You got to move from Cal. I remember I had a chief tell me that you just got to get out of California. It's like, I don't want to get out of California. This is where I want to live. This is where I like working.
Yeah.
I don't want to, you know, I don't want to move out of state to somewhere that I don't want to be for the job that I like to do. It's the other way around, you know, like I want to work where I want to live and be compensated appropriately for the job that you're doing. And so it's not just the money side of it either. It's
the retirement, it's the mental health. It's a litany of things, man.
It's all those things. And the mental health and just like the health of, you know, everybody that's affected by that individual. And it's like, yeah, you're gone 6-7 months out of the year. And that's why there's so many, you know, divorces and I mean, let's be real. Like there's firefighters taking their own lives for what reasons? I don't know, but I know that's got to have a little bit of something to do with it, you know?
Oh yeah.
And that's something that people don't like talking about. Oh, bring that up. Suicide. Oh no, that's a real freaking thing, dude. And it sucks.
I think
I hear about that.
Yeah. If you don't mind me interjection there, I think the most profound thing that I've ever heard from a clinician was the concept of normalizing suicide. Like talking about it, normalizing it in a sense that like as it exists, but it's always been perceived as like the elephant in the room, but it's a very fucking real thing. But we need to normalize it in the context of, it is an option, but it shouldn't be your first.
I just don't. For someone to get to that point in their own,
to where it becomes the first option. Yeah, it sucks, man.
And is it cross people's, like if it's ever crossed your mind, man, talk to somebody, please, you know, like don't let that plague your thoughts with, as it being a viable solution, because it's not a good solution. It's not, and I'm not a mental clinician. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not that, but I will be someone that listens and have been somebody that's listened to someone that has brought that up, you know, and did my best to communicate that, like, hey, you're talking about some pretty serious, you know, you're saying some pretty serious statements here. And like, I need to know if these are like legitimate things, you know, if you're just kind of popping off gas right now, because first of all, you're a friend of mine. Second of all, like I need to do something about that other than just let this conversation, you know, end with me and you. And then that person assured me that like, no, other people know about it. You're not the only one. And I've been there and tried to help and just be a good friend and be a good listener and not try to solve their problems, which is something I should try to do in my own life with like marriage and everything. It was, you're a firefighter, right? What do? We try to solve everybody's problem.
Yeah, you're a professional problem solver.
Help the problem. Yeah, exactly. And then, but we're not going to solve every problem. just be a good listener in your marriage and stuff like that. It's like, how come you can do it here, but you can't do it in your own? That's communication 101, right? So I get it. You're full all the time from my wife that I'm not listening, but that's how it is. Right. And she's always right. Sometimes I'm not listening, but that's it. Not to make light of this situation or discussion, but it's like, it's so true. And, it just sucks that has become such a normal thing. And you got to ask yourself why. And if people are finding themselves in a very dark, alone place to think that is the only option or whatever. There's so many avenues for help, but if they get pushed to that point, they're not gonna seek that out. And so I'm not saying that money's going to fix that and paychecks aren't going to fix that, but there is a certain aspect and flow of how things have gotten to that point. Right. And maybe if they can take a look back at like, oh, why are people leaving these agencies in record numbers, and why are they seeking, success elsewhere? And how do you retain the folks that you still have? And like I said, hats off to those guys that are just going to grind it out, and because that's who they are and that's what they want to do. Like I would have been right there with them. I wouldn't have had a choice. I don't know what else I would have done. Go swing a hammer. Yeah. Could have jumped back I did a little bit of construction when I was doing seasonal time, and like early on in my career, do that, or maybe try my hand at starting a business or something. But I'm not an educated man, I don't have like college degree. And I started looking at those other things. Like, what else would I do? I really enjoyed that job, and that's why I miss it so much. That's why I try to stay involved with it as much as I can. And that anything that's going to help what grassroots and what NIFI is pushing for. I mean, that's who's representing the people that are still there. Right. And I have friends that are still there, and the conversations that I have with them, yeah, some of those challenges that I was facing when I was there, they're getting worse. And so now there's less qualified individuals with less experience being promoted into positions that maybe they shouldn't be in, but the job's there and they're going to take it. And now they're making the decision, and they'll get there. They might not have all the experience to lean on, but they're going to get it one way or another because they're being put in that position to go out and make those decisions. Right. Yeah. And that shouldn't be taken lightly. It's a privilege and it's a serious, leadership position when you're out there making decisions for the fate of that are entrusted to your care.
Yeah. Literally, right? Lives are at risk.
Yeah. And all kinds of different things, financial, equipment and all this like we said earlier, in a very freaking gnarly environment. And, the recognition, it's time, it needs to happen. And Max and, from NIFI and Lucas from, grassroots, and everybody that is supporting them in this coordinated effort and it's been there before, right? Not to say like it all came from somewhere. And that's kind of where I started getting into it a little bit, into like the history of all that and some of the folks that I know, because I'm kind of like in this like middle generational, of like these founding forefathers, if you will. And it's all because from the Hotshots, and the Hotshots getting involved and being involved with all these things. And there are some different entities that came before these, right? NIFI's been doing their thing, but now they actually have Max, it's his priority, and they have someone representing Wildland Fire, and he's got Yvette, who's doing awesome things for them. And And so now they're kind of both pulling from the same end, where they were both going for the same thing, but it's like, one of them's on one flank and the other one's on the other flank, and that's great. But where are they tying in, right? And so now it's like now they both have some coordinated things to work towards together, and they're both anchored in now, working towards the same thing, instead of coming from different directions on it.
Yeah, it's
and
like we've aligned, like established command.
That's what's important. Exactly, right?
Yeah,
and they both have their different lanes. And so, like, how did I get roped into that? I don't know. I think it's just through relationships and friends, that I stay in touch with. Shane, he's probably going to hear this, and
Shane
he's like this retired mastermind, behind this whole thing. Like, but me and him talk, and he cares too. A lot of us that are no longer there still care. We still give a shit, and we always will. And we want to see people. We want to see people moving in the, moving it in the right direction to get it done.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
And I think at the end of the day, even like, you're pretty far removed from like the federal wildland context, but I think the important thing is to have supporters like you outside of federal service, because in all honesty, if this goes through, I think that the rising tide is going to raise all ships, because now state departments have to compete with their wildland programs. The contractors have to compete with their wildland programs, and all these other third like party or like tertiary kind of fallout things that are going to happen. I think it's going to benefit a lot more than just the federal wildland firefighters. I honestly do.
Yeah, I think so. I think, at the end of the day, when these things happen, whether it be a fire or a hurricane or tornadoes or earthquake, right? We haven't had one of those in a while. Knock on wood. We know it's coming.
It's just had one in LA.
We all just gotta be. Yeah, well, we all gotta be working together, man. And that's what it comes down to. Not everybody's gonna have the expertise in everything, but a lot of people are going to show up and are going to be able to do what they can do to help out that situation. And when you look at like some of the major events, in wildland fire is just a great example of that. But there's so many different things where people come together to complete the objective of helping people out. And that's kind of what it's all about. It's like, but we've been all the way to the moon and back, right? And then, but for some reason in our new society, people have trouble going across the street to introduce themselves to their neighbors, and that's a reality of what's going on in our. Shame on COVID. Watch out. That's going to come the disclaimer, right? But it did. It separated so much. And it's like, man, like how do we get things back? What, I don't even want to say normalcy, like what's normal before, but like, it'd just be good to start moving things towards a good direction. And this is what we're solving the world's problems right now, right? Like, they talk about stuff like this at work, at the coffee table and stuff, but it's as long as people care enough to look out for one another, then we'll find ourselves moving in a good place, in a good direction, and then just continue to keep looking out for one another, and hopefully all of the efforts that we put forth will put us in a good position to move on to the next phase, whatever it is. And the people that follow us and move into the positions that we hold and the jobs that we do will be in a good position to carry it forward. That's really all it is. We only have so much time on this earth. So
yeah,
might as well do some good while we're here.
But yeah, man, with that being said, I think that it's important that we recognize the fact that it's our jobs as firefighters to build upon the foundation that was laid before us, right, in the service. So I think that grassroots and NIFI and what you're doing and all of this like is all interconnected with the community and speaks volumes, man. It's our job and we're going to keep pushing that needle. We're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, dude, it is. I'm excited to see how all this kind of, I don't want to say concludes because I think it'll just keep evolving and moving, but it's cool to finally see some traction and some people actually in some positions have to answer some questions. A lot of the times they get answered politically, right? Because that's what they do.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see it get to that level and have a direct line and kind of, cut the crap. Let's iron out some things and get something done. Right. And what is your direction, to the leaders and the policymakers, and how are you going to fix and do your, maybe not fix, but how are you going to do your part to ensure that there is some change moving and developing a new climate for the next 20, 30 years? Because ultimately, like, that's what needs to happen, right? And a lot, you look at Mel and you look at like all those people that are retiring and the gap that's going to be, even just in training. This got brought up to me the other day, like the Mel buildup and that, call it, like, they're not baby boomers, right? But like all that big Mel buildup, right? And then you look at like the implications of like COVID and that training gap that got shut down for the 2 years, and all these people now are they're not going to be able to promote within those next levels. They're going to retire, right? Because they're going to time out. And so now, because of that big training freeze and all that, they'll never move up to that next level. Now there's just this huge gap of qualified individuals to be able to move into these positions. I mean, there's land, there's areas down here that don't have battalion chief positions staffed. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And that's another thing too. The people that did stick around are still there and have those slides. They're bailing and jumping ship, going to different agencies, man. Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you fix this? It's called a mass exodus or whatever. I don't know. It is what it is, but you gotta figure something out.
That we do.
At some point, people got to answer to that, and the people that are in those positions, they're gonna be held accountable for what reason? Well, in this example, things should be going uphill. The ramifications and the consequences should be looked towards uphill, not going back downhill, down to like those first year dudes that are going to have to now eat it. Right. And they had nothing to do with it. So there's just mass hiring going on, and that's great. You're filling seats. And that's good. And I'm not there. I'm not here to talk about, like, my opinion is my opinion. That's it. I can't solve those problems, but I am going to support those that are looking at the bigger picture, because I agree with what they're going after. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, like, some of those things I wish would have happened when I was still there, But when I look at like a lot of guys that did leave, and where they're at now, I know that they're in a place where they feel healthier, at least mentally, I think that's important, because you got to take care of yourself first if you want to help anybody else, right?
Absolutely, man.
If you're not in a good place, then you're going to be detrimental.
Yeah, you're no good to anybody. So
We'll see how it pans out though. But yeah, man, I mean, it's a big, broad topic and we could talk for hours on this one, but I do got to take off here in a little bit. So maybe let's get you back on the show, dude. And like, let's really dive into this. Like I don't know, maybe we can get Grassroots and Max and you and everybody on the show. That'd be kind of cool to like really talk about it.
Yeah, that would have been, I think that was the goal for Reno, right? Here's this idea guy. That's me.
No, it was good. I think it was beneficial.
I know. I wish I would have been able to go up there and hang out.
Hey, you can't control the weather, brother.
Busy, man. Life's busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite, dude. I appreciate it. This was good. And anybody that listens to it, thanks for listening. And if you guys are interested, reach out to us. Like I said, this organization's there for everyone and anyone that wants to do something. It's yours just as much as it's ours. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate the hell out of what you're doing, man. Yeah. Well, I'll be sure to include all the links and social media stuff inside the show notes. That way you can have some access and ease of access to the Hotshot Up Foundation here. And yeah, I love what you're doing, man. Anthony,
Rad.
Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You have a good day, dude.
You too, man. See you guys.
All right. Later, bro.
And boom, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of the Anchor Point Podcast is in the books with my good friend, Anthony Powers from the Hotshot Up Foundation. Now, they are a kick-ass cause, and I am all about having these organizations exist, as we definitely need it as a community. Doesn't matter if you're stepping foot in the black as a contractor, a fed, or a state, or a parkie. It doesn't matter. These folks are out there making a difference for the people that have unfortunately paid the ultimate sacrifice for our careers. And it's a hell of a thing that these organizations exist, because without them, no, it's not like we make a lot of money. So it's our families that are going to suffer, and we never know when our ticket is going to be punched. With that being said, kind of dark, but if you want to go out and support a good cause, you can go over to www.hotshotup.com and you can find out more about the nonprofit that they're doing, the work that they've put in, and the in honor of section of their website where they have all of their past events and who they've been dedicated to. It's pretty impressive stuff. And in fact, this year's Hotshot Up tournament and this year's Hotshot Up Foundation's in honor of is going to go to Stockton Fire Department Captain Max Fortuna and Craig Interagency Hotshot Colin Hagan, who both passed in 2022 in the line of duty. I know this topic is really hard, and yeah, it's rough, but we do have a dangerous career, and we're lucky that we have folks out there just in case the worst case scenario does happen to support our families that we leave behind. With that, I do say go over to www.hotshotup.com to check it out, and please consider a donation. They're a wonderful organization, and there's other organizations out there that do amazing work as well. Go check them out. You know who they are. As for the rest of you, hope everybody's gearing up for the season. I hope everybody's ready, and yeah, we'll see what the crystal ball has. Hope everybody's doing well. A special shout out to our sponsors. We've got Mystery Ranch, purveyors of the finest damn packs in the fire game. Go over to www.mysteryranch.com and check out the Backbone series where you can get your hands on one of those $1,000 scholarships. We've got Hotshot Brewery, kick-ass coffee for a kick-ass cause. And if you want to get your hands on the best coffee in the fire game, well, go over to www.hotshotbrewing.com and check it out. We got the ass movement, of course. My boy Booze over there, spreading the word about burying your turds. If you want to get a discount on all of your ass movement merch, use the code AnchorPointAss10 at checkout over at www.thefirewild. Just look for the ass movement. And last but not least, we've got the American Wildfire Experience, aka the Smoky Generation, and they are freaking awesome. Bethany, you have a kick-ass organization over there. Keep it up. If you want to find out more about the oral history telling project, go over to www.wildfireexperience.org where you can find all of it. Y'all know the drill. Stay safe, stay savage. Peace.